Hey, what's going on, guys? I just want to take you guys through a trade that I took today, specifically this trade on US100. This was about a 7.6 R. I changed my account size. I kind of scaled up from $20 to 200 because I figured, from the 20, I was risking about a dollar 50 to about $2, which was a lot of percentage. So scaled the account up to 200. Still risking pretty much about the same amount, except that the difference now is just the percentage. Figured you guys have different account sizes, and this is probably like the median, like the in between. So yeah, so this is the trade that I took. It was like from this point to this point, and yeah, $15 profit, but about 7.69 R, roundabout, so let's just call it 7 R. I did screen record the entire trade, so I have it here in, just my process from Motive Wave, and I will switch from Motive Wave to Trading View also, just so that you guys can see what was going on over on this side. All right. But yeah, so let me just take you guys through what was going on. I believe at this point this was at, yeah, so this was at 16:30. I was just changing my settings there. Let me take that a few seconds back. Yeah, so I had my settings on my range chart here for specifically for the order flow. It wasn't reading real-time history, so I just had to switch the RTH data so that I could actually see the market data as it was coming in. So that's what that setting was. This was 16:30, and yeah, I'll show you guys how initially how I was kind of like coming about with the levels that I was looking at trading at. So at this point, what I'm looking for is I was looking for finished auctions, right? The market had just opened, so you know, market had just opened. I don't trade in the first 15 minutes, but I do mark areas of like points of interest. I think what was going on there is the internet was a bit slow, so that kind of printed a little slow. But as you can see, you'll see. Okay, let's just switch to the MetaTrader, where that big. This is one of the reasons why I also don't trade in the first 15 minutes. You know, yeah, I don't trade in the first 15 minutes because of just volatility. I just feel like price hasn't really settled yet, so I don't want to enter immediately, on the first candle. So it's 16:30 my time here. Oops, as you can see top right corner at 16:31, because I'm GMT2, so I was just waiting for for New York to open. So yeah, this is kind of what I'll be looking at during my trades when stuff is happening, when the session opens, basically. I'm looking for finished auctions. I'm also, if you look at the bottom here, I'm also watching volume and cumulative delta and delta change, yeah. I had already marked a level. I'd already marked a level here. This is 25,634.50, which I believe was round about this candle. I'd marked that. That was during pre-open. So I just thought that was an interesting level because, again, we had a finished auction there. So what I'm doing here now is I'm marking a candle where there's a finished auction. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm going to switch to, and I was just kind of watching at that point. Oops. Just kind of watching price action also at that point, and switching to a 5 minute just to get a kind of overall broader look of what was going on, so kind of ranging. You can check it's 16:32 Again, I'm not taking any trades during this time. Why? Not because again, it's within the first 15 minutes. These are part of my rules. These are my rules that I set, so I'm just trying as much as possible to follow my rules. Another thing that was like really important for me to establish, since this was a new trading month, was just my approach to the market. So I'm not going in. I'm not going in trying to get as many R's as possible. Like my goal for the month was, for this month, is to protect the capital. So you'll see later when I'm actually entering the trade, like the amount, the lot size that I'm choosing for that. So again, off the footprint data, I think I was using this candle, which is around about 1632. And looking at this, and I marked this. That's where I drew that line, that horizontal line. So I marked this also as a point of interest. I don't think this is the level that I got in at. But again, if you see the zero and the six there, that's a finished auction over here. So, and what's probably gonna happen is you'll see in a few seconds. I'm gonna mark from this time, 1632. I'm gonna mark that as a point of interest if I haven't already, or if they overlap. So again, I think I was looking for the 1632. Yep, I found the 1632, which was also, again, at a level that I had already marked. But where I was supposed to put that was I was supposed to put it at the bottom of the candle, not the top. And the reason why I'm putting it at the bottom of the candle is because it's just my process where if the candle is bearish, I want to put my levels at the bottom of that candle, because the entries I'd be looking for at that point would be sells. So I'm looking for a pullback into those levels. So yeah. I will fast forward in a bit. Let me just check what time I actually entered that. 1447. It's 1447 because MetaTrader doesn't do. I can't change the time frame, so it's just at GMT. So 1447 to 1647. Again, I think that's like important to note, because that's just also to show how much time I had to wait for an entry, which isn't a lot of time, really, if you think about it. But that 17-minute wait, right, is what then eventually got me my entry. You might have noticed that I entered a buy. And yeah, for sure, like if you had entered immediately from open, you'd have got this beautiful down move here. I used to trade like this, but then I don't trade like this anymore. So again, just waiting for, excuse me, I was just waiting for 1645, 15 minutes after New York Open. And then that's when I start really considering my entries. So again, looking at this candle, I think there was a finished auction there, so I was just looking at possibly marking that candle as well. Again, I'm just marking it as a point of interest. Yeah, so finished auction over here. At the top here, at the bottom of this bearish candle, this is the 1633. So yeah, and this is also, I think I noticed that this was the beginning of kind of distribution, kind of a range. I thought like, okay, cool, maybe let me just wait a little and just see how the next few candles develop. Yeah. So again, so in real time, this is what I'll be seeing in real time before I enter. And again, which is why I've said in previous videos that I just feel like trading candlesticks like this is just kind of, it feels like entering the market blind. I must also give a shout out to Fabio Valentini. I hope I didn't butcher your name, bro. Not a personal friend, just someone that I've seen who introduced me to Orderflow. And this was from an episode on, I think it was Chart Fanatics or Words of Wisdom. Yeah, I like watching those channels because I get to see professional traders talk about trading, and I'm just like so immersed. So, but he introduced me to the concept of order flow. That's the first time I was exposed to it. So, yeah. So if you see like that level, you see that orange line that I drew there, you can see like price. This is why I draw these and why I put them on the chart, because price hit that and then it reacted. So again, that's why I'm marking these levels, because I'm looking for what I'm looking for really is I'm looking for high probability, less stress trades. So I want to enter the market with the least amount of stress possible, but I want to enter it where there's the highest probability of my trade going in my direction. I don't want to think too much. I don't want to be stressed about like, oh, is this going in my, is this going to work out? Is this not going to work out? So yeah. Um, you will see, okay. Also, I also need to show you guys this because that's not everything I was looking at. I was also looking over here on Trading View. I was also looking at VWAP. Let me make this should I make it a 15-minute? Yeah, okay, cool. Let me just make it a 5 minute so that you guys can see an overall kind of look at what VWAP is. Okay, so please just ignore all of these lines. I know it's a little messy, but this is my VWAP indicator. And yeah, I was paying attention to the VWAP because my thing was, well, from where we are, where we most where we most likely to go, we're most likely to revert to get back to the VWAP, right? So I wasn't looking for any sell entries here. I was looking for buy entries, So again, why I wait for, why I sit that first 15 minutes out. I just try and sit on my hands and not make any impulsive moves or impulsive decisions. So at that point, what time is this? This is, yeah, come on. Yeah, 16:36. So 16:36, we're around about here. All right, so around here. So again, I'm just being really patient at this point. But yeah, also just for context, like I've backtested this. I used pretty much the entire of October and the latter bits of September to really backtest this, like forward testing and backtesting. So I'll show you guys if you'd like to see, maybe in a separate video. I'll show you guys like my trades from October where I was really, really testing like my system and my edge and like really trying to learn how these order flow tools work. If you guys want to know what order flow tools I'm using Motive Wave. So I'm not being paid to say that. I just think you guys should, just in case you guys want to trade, I guess, in a similar way. But yeah, again, this isn't even, we're not even 10 minutes into the market, and look at like these moves that we've got already. We've got a big impulsive moves down and a big impulsive move up, and and this level that I drew, yeah, price did react and then it broke through that. So for me also, I was like, okay, cool. So if this didn't hold, then we're most likely in for a buy, and again, we reacted there. Price touched that point, and then it went back up. So again, I'm coming back here to come and see what's going on with the order flow, searching for finished auctions, reading what's, just kind of paying attention to what's happening in the volume table, and also just like searching for imbalances. I know some people use, what are they called? Big trades. I'm not really good at that just as of yet. I'm not super proficient with that yet. So I've tested it a little, and yeah, I think I just need a little more time. But I just want to get really, really good with just reading the order flow. So trying to minimize the indicators on my screen and the things that I'm seeing on my screen, because this already is a lot to kind of pay attention to. The volume, cumulative delta change, all of this stuff. So I'm not being super picky. I'm not super focused on the numbers themselves. Like, oh, that's 196, that's 341. Nah, like, I'm looking for outliers in data. And by outliers, I mean like things that just like pop out. So for example, went from 978 volume to 2,233. That's significant to me. And again, here at this level, at this point, we have like a lot of volume, and then we have a bullish candle, right? We have a bullish candle over here, but then our cumulative delta and our delta change are all negative. So that's significant to me. It's just kind of giving me forewarning. It's like, oh, there's a lot of selling. There's a lot of selling pressure. There's a lot of selling pressure. Then why did we close bullish? So yeah, these are just kind of the things that are going on in my head, just as I'm looking, just as I'm reading the data, as I'm reading the charts in the market. Yeah, I wonder what was going on here. I think I'd switched to my trading view at this point. Sorry, I had my trading view on a separate screen, so the way I've been screen recording, I can't screen record on both just as of yet. I'll figure it out though for you guys if you really want to know what's going on. So that's 1639, 1639. So yeah, it's around about here. I think also I was just making a few changes to my I was just making a few changes to the levels that I had marked out on my MetaTrader and also on my trading view. Yeah, so we're about to enter the trade. I think we entered the trade in about 8 minutes from here. And I think the level, yeah. So at this point, what I was actually trying to move the levels that I had set, because I noticed that I had put them at the wrong place, and I'm glad I picked that up, because I wouldn't have entered exactly where I would have liked to, and I think I actually might have missed an entry if I hadn't noticed that error. And the error is like really small and simple. It's just basically, I want to put, if it's a bullish candle, if the order flow, okay, so for example, like here, this is negative order flow, bearish order flow, all right? It's a bearish footprint candle, let me put it that way. And so when I'm going on to my trading view, onto my MetaTrader, because this candle is bearish, I want to mark the level at the bottom of the candle, not the top, right? Because it's a bearish candle. And so if it's a bearish candle, I might be looking to sell. And if I'm looking to sell, I want to place a sell limit. So I want price to come from beneath and then touch that level. So essentially, that was like what? So say like here, I'd want price to go beneath that and then touch that. It's still a significant level still either way. Just, it kind of, I just noticed when I was back testing, it just kind of made a difference as to like my entries if I put it the other way around. So if I put it at the top of a bearish candle instead of at the bottom of it, or if it was a bullish candle and I placed my what do you call my point of interest at the top instead of at the bottom, so this small is like a small nuance, but still kind of important all the same, yeah. Sorry if I don't sound as excited as I should. I'm just really beat. I had a really, really intense day at the gym. Okay, so I think around this point, this is when I was now starting to think about pullbacks now. And I was starting to think about like the level at which like I would want to get in. Because now it's 1641 at this point, and we're approaching that 15-minute mark where I can then enter the market. And as much as possible, like as much as I want to enter at the best entry, I also want to make sure that I'm making a logical decision, and also a decision that's following my set rules and my set plan, you know. Yeah, so I was just like searching for a footprint there that was a significant level, you know. So so as you can see, I'd already marked these areas, right? These other lines, these other horizontal lines, these dashed lines are previous levels. So levels from the previous week, which still are significant levels because they, price does at times like react off of those. Like if you see like off these candles, it was like really, really respected, and these previous levels, this is where there were previous footprints, finished auctions on footprints at, on previous days. And this was specifically from the previous week. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. That's when I drew these, yeah, and you can see like from here, price reacted off of these lines. Price reacted that way, and then also here, we had a touch, and then price reacted again. This wasn't respected as much, I guess maybe here, but then the levels that I felt today were going to be more significant. Were going to be the levels from the day, and so that's why I marked them out. I drew them out in orange. Yeah. So again, just waiting. I think I'd already found the level, and now I was waiting for the pullback, and I was waiting for confirmation on the pullback. And how I was gonna get that is, if I saw a bearish footprint, then that was like, for me, that's what I was looking for. I was like, okay, cool. We're approaching the 1645, so let's just give it a little time. And once we got, because the bearish footprint would then say to me that like, okay, cool, were prices coming back down, right? And if you note over here as well, I was also paying attention to the delta and the delta change. We went from positive delta, the delta change went from 117 to 153, which is a significant, I guess, kind of a significant jump, almost 50%. And also, if you're looking at the delta, we went from 149 to 302. The overall delta was also positive. So 396, 698, 883, 971. And then here we were developing at 753. And this was a cumulative delta, right? I'll make separate videos on what all of these mean. So I am making a course right now. There's a course that's available on just the markets and what a market is. And I'm just making this for people who are like really, really, really super, super, super new to trading. Just concepts that I feel like you need to understand before you can even get to this point of reading or seeing chart. And in no way or form am I the best at this. This is just off. Yeah. This is off. Let's call it 60 plus days, I guess, of just really diving into Orderflow. But what I'm getting at is that, like, the delta is shifting, and the delta is shifting negative. So at this point now, what I'm looking for that pullback. And once I see that pullback, then one of those levels that I've drawn out is going to be an important level for my entry, right? So this is 1643. Let's make this a little quicker, guys. Let's watch this in ×2 speed. I really didn't want to make this video too long. But yeah, so at this point now, this is when I started looking for trying to enter, right? So pending order, and I wanted a buy limit. Okay, so this is an important part also, I guess, to discuss in the video. My thing is, I want to protect capital more than I want to make profit, which might not sound, it might sound crazy, but I don't want to lose more than I'm prepared to put in, right? Of course I want to make money, but like my first point of call, like, is to protect the capital. And the only way I can protect the capital is once I have sure risk. And by sure risk, I mean like knowing before I enter that this is the maximum amount of money that I am prepared to lose before I even consider the trade, right? And I already decided, from when I put the money into my account, that the maximum amount of money I'm prepared to lose is $2. And the reason why is because $2 is 1% of my account. So I'm just going with 1%. I don't want to risk more than 1% at this point. If my account grows, and my account grows to like 300, it's still going to be the same principle. Instead of $2, I'm going to be risking 3. If I get to $1,000, instead of I'm not going to risk $100 per trade at 1,000 because that's 10% of the account. So I'm being really I'm being really, really decisive about the amount of money that I'm willing to risk. I just feel like that's important. So at this point, I was trying to risk 0.25. I found out later, just as I was trying to put this in, as I was trying to place this order, that my broker won't allow me to do half decimals or, like fractional decimals. That doesn't make sense. Basically, I can only do like tens. So point 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, 0.6, like etc. etc. I can't do like 0.5s. So at the 0.25, I was gonna risk 1.25% of my account, which I was okay with. I was okay with that much. And again, sorry, this is kind of distracting me. At that point, also, I'm just like, I wanted to do only 2 trades a day. If you saw my screen before, you'd have seen I took more than 2. I took 4 trades, which was a bad call on my part. And yeah, maybe we can go over that in another video. Let me fast forward this a little. Yeah, I think at this point I had figured out that I could only do 0.2. So pending order rather. And guys, again, I was looking for the pullback to this level, right? Which I had drawn prior. So this is where I wanted to enter. Which I believe was at the top of this candle, from my order flow. So, okay. Come on, Indigo, figure it out quickly. Yeah. So, okay. So around about here, then that's when I was like, oh, okay, cool. I guess this is the amount that I can risk. And then I placed my trade, so I placed my trade. I didn't have a set take profit, again, because of just the number of levels that I had above that, of significant levels. So how I wanted to exit this trade is I told myself that I was only going to exit this trade once I saw something from my order flow, that would signal to me that price is reversing now, so or that price is now bearish. So either from like the footprint or from the volume table, so yeah. And yeah, and I think round about here, this is when the trade got triggered. Yeah, just make that a little quick. I think you guys get pretty much the concept and how I got into the trade. So my trade was triggered there. My stop loss is right there. My stop loss is very, very tight. It's 10 points. And the reason why my stop loss is 10 points is because, well, for one, if I'm wrong, I want to be wrong quickly, because my thing was, if I'm wrong about this level, then the next obvious level would be this level, right? And yeah, I would have lost the first trade, but I'd make it up in the gains, right? And if I was wrong about this level, then that's tough cookies. I've lost 2 trades in a row, and that would be the end of my trading day, there'll be another day the next day. So yeah, I set it and we got triggered, and I didn't wanna watch like the profit that much, because again, I don't want to psych myself out of the trade, you know. I don't want to psych myself out of the trade to be like, oh, okay, cool, we're positive, we're like $5 now, and maybe let me take this. Like my my goal really with my trades is just like a 3R. I feel like just taking how I'm trading and applying it everywhere else, like 3R is good. Like 3R is good for everyone, even for professional traders. Like when I hear people talk about, I've heard like professional traders on like these podcasts talk about, they do 1.5 hour a day, and that's like a lot of money, because like that 1.5 hour is maybe off $1 million account or $100,000 account, so off 100 grand, that's about 1,500, per trade, and that's, so so my goal is really like 3R, so I had a look just to make sure. I saw where the dollar amount was, and I was like, all right, cool. I'm just gonna watch the order flow from this point, and then only switch to my MetaTrader just so that I could see where we were as far as like the targets were concerned. So again, what was like really significant to me was seeing like these buy imbalances over here, because that was a good signal to me that like, okay, cool, we have momentum. And then seeing that buy imbalance also over here, that was like, okay, cool, and buying imbalance over here. And this was a really encouraging sign, because again, the cumulative delta is positive, the delta is positive, the delta change is positive, and also the jump of the cumulative delta from 285 to 444, not really 2x, but again, still like significant, so I was like, oh, okay, cool, I just kind of felt like we were gonna rally, so I just wanted to watch the order flow from this point. And yeah, I'm just gonna speed this up just, till we get to the point where I exited the trade. Yep. Yeah, we're around about 1327. I think around about this point, this is when I kind of started to like psych myself out, because again, we hit like the first significant level and the second and the third. So at this point, I was kind of starting to think about where I was gonna get out, and in thinking about like where I was gonna get out, it was just really about seeing how the volume table was going to change, the footprint data also as well. If I saw something bearish over here, then to me that was going to be like, okay, that's a lot more than I wanted to get out of the market today. So again, it was like almost 7 point something R, 7.6 R. If I had put a TP over here, this would have been a super great point to get out. But again, yeah, I was just starting to think about my exit roundabout here, which should happen anytime now. Yeah, so I'm just gonna take this a few seconds back. So yeah, so I started seeing some selling imbalances over here, and I was happy with the amount that I'd made. And yeah, I was happy with the amount that I'd made, and maybe I could have like held this a little longer, but again, I was pretty much done, so that was a trade. Yeah, that was a trade right there. Again, I was at this level, I was at the level that I had said that like, oh, what, if we hit this level, this is gonna be a pretty I just felt like that would have been a good point to get out. So just to switch to the trading view, that was 1651, right? Yeah, 1651. Wait, let me just confirm. Yeah, 1651, 52. So that was around here. Yeah, around here. So that was my trade. I mean, from when I started looking at the market, yeah, it was a lot of time, I guess. You know, because I did see, as you can see, that was like 4:15. So from 16:14 to about 16:51, how many minutes is that? My math is bad today. 40 minutes, you know, but like my trade was only really 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 minutes max, and that was a trade. I'll fast forward this just so you guys can see. I could have held this a little longer. I was zooming out just to see if we had any significant levels above that. And in hindsight, I was thinking after the trade, because I did journal. Oops. The proof is in the pudding. I did journal today, as I have been every day. Yeah, I did journal this trade, and I was just saying, like in hindsight, like I really could have waited for. I could have waited for this footprint to close, really, because I got out of it whilst it was still developing, you know. Yeah, you know, and however, even if it had changed bearish, it wasn't going to affect my TP that much. And as you can see, you know, we actually got a finished auction there, and I could have held it a little longer. It did rally another 30 points after, so I mean, the trade could have been a 10R. You know, as you can see there, it was still rallying, but I'm learning and improving as I'm going. To me, what's like really, really important right now is just like the principles and applying the principles and just making sure that I'm following my rules. And yeah, you know, yeah, I would take you guys through this second trade. This was a losing trade, but yeah, this happened a lot longer. Again, I just marked another significant level, which is the the footprint where I saw the finished auction. You know, so again, finished auction at the bottom, positive deltas, you know, delta, cumulative delta, and then the delta change was -1. But I mean, from -311, what that means is that there was a shift. There was 310 of positive delta. Yeah, so I just marked that candle as a point where I could have looked for a second entry for my second trade. But yeah, price just kind of went and it went and it went and it went and it went. You know, so, but yeah, that was the trade today, guys. In 30 something minutes. If you stuck through it, thank you for being here. Let me know if you guys have any questions, and I guess I can answer some of your questions in the comment section, or maybe when I do another trade video, I'll address those. But just for today, I just wanted to show you guys this trade that I took, and which again is this trade. This second trade is the trade that I had marked out. Let's do that. Whoopsie. Yeah, so at this point here, this is when I really should have got out, you know, because now that's a finished auction at the top of a bearish candle, and again, we're starting to get bearish readings in our data, in our volume table, you know. So again, a lot of these things in hindsight make a lot of sense, you know. Yeah, but that was pretty much the trade. So I think that's gonna be pretty much it, guys. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else to show you here. Yeah, so just as I was saying, this is when I could have got out, you know, at this candle. Actually, it would have been around about this candle, you know, which would have been another 30 points. But am I happy about today's trade? I'm happy about today's trade. This second trade is where I had drawn that pullback, where I had drawn that other level, where I was expecting a pullback to. I didn't get that. It actually fell through, it fell through completely. And it was just a little after, I think I had drawn it here around this candle. Or was it around this candle, actually, around about here? And what I wanted it to do, what I was looking for was, I was looking for price to come back, retest the VWAP, and then fall a little beneath, and then rally again, and price just fell through, which could have been a sign to me that it was going to be, that we we're going to be bearish from that point on. I didn't do that, and I tried to enter two separate buys, which were revenge trading on my end, which, I just kind of felt like I was using house money. So again, I just made sure that like my risk was still very small. So -$2, -236, -146, and then I called it a day after that. So I closed the day overall positive, but it could have been a little more. But that was the trade. That's what happened with US 100 today, NQ, and yeah, if you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments for this video. And yeah, tomorrow is another day, so we'll go at it again tomorrow. But yeah, shout out guys, thanks for checking this